Hi, Chris from #Ellipsis again. I'm making this short little video to accompany a business plan template that I've put together for artists, specifically music kind of based projects. And I've put this together because there are some people in groups who, one person particularly who asked about putting together a business plan for a musician, but quite a few other people who are interested in making money from their art or organising themselves in terms of a business or a professional project. Now, this isn't a business plan per se to take to a bank for a loan, as would a normal business plan be. The point of this is, at the very kind of simplest level, is to get you organised like a business, to get you in that mindset of thinking, right, what have I put into this and what do I need to get out of it? Now, if you're an artist who you're just writing songs for your own pleasure and you just like to occasionally go out and gig them, this isn't for you, I promise. So feel free to go away now. No offense. I've got other videos that you'll like about songwriting. This is for people who are looking for a return on investment, very much a business term, but that's part of what we're going to get into, is thinking of ourselves as a business and how we kind of monetize the skills and the valuable artifacts that we create in music. So I'm going to kind of do this in a few parts because it's a big document, but don't feel overwhelmed, don't feel you have to fill it all out. Sometimes these things can work as a question for you to think about and maybe come back to later when you're in the space where you're ready to answer that question. But I'm just going to go through the major sections. So I'm going to skip over the first few pages because hopefully they're self-explanatory. Put in your name, put in your artist name or business name, the name of the project. If you're making an album, you want to use this just to make an album, or the name of your studio business that you want to set up. Hopefully this will help all of you in that sense. So, just a contents page, general contact information, executive summary. This is what you're going to write up at the end, really, the last thing you do, because it's going to summarize everything that's in this document into neat little punchy paragraphs and sentences. So don't worry about this now. Actually, let's skip over this. I'll come back to this. So let's go over the other more finite ideas. So the business opportunity. So this is for you to talk about yourself and why you are going to be the right person for your business or project. And you might kind of overlook something like this in terms of being a songwriter. I'm going to try and give examples from various aspects, but if you feel I haven't covered it, please do drop me a message or something and I'll try and expand on it for you. So, as a songwriter, why are you the best person to be writing this album? There are many answers to that. It might be that your way of articulating a certain subject is going to be resonating with a particular audience. It might be that you are writing songs that talk about subjects that aren't talked about in your genre, and therefore you're expanding that domain of songs to include that subject matter. It might be that you have a particular audience who feeds that's horrible, that consume and love your music and that they want more of it. There's a desire for your music by these people, therefore you are obviously the person to give it to them. It's been proven. They've bought your last 3 albums, they love it, it's sold really well. Of course you should make a 4th album. It's almost no-brainer. But kind of talk through it, talk about what is unique about you. If you're starting out, or if this is more of a business venture like a studio, the other things you could be talking about are kind of what skills you bring to this. Now, you might have worked in a job in a call centre where you're trying to sell double glazing, and you might think, oh, that's got nothing to do with songwriting. Actually, it has a lot to do with songwriting. It's a lot of skills in there that you're developing. Your ability to develop a rapport with people. It might be one-to-one down the phone, and you might be thinking, okay, yeah, I can sell double glazing. If you can sell double glazing to people who don't need double glazing, you can sell a song. You can sell yourself as a musician, and the difference is that you sell yourself on stage. How do you carry those skills over onto being on stage? Because that's going to be useful for your business. How do you carry those onto your online presence? How do you present yourself as someone that is likable, trustworthy, someone they want to work with, someone who they can be inspired by? So those are skills that you can bring over. And think critically. Nearly all of us have, experiences from other jobs or other avenues that we've done which contribute to this. My work, for the last 7 years or so as a lecturer in songwriting, has most definitely impacted my ability to work as both a songwriter and a producer, because it's enhanced my ability to communicate. It's enhanced my ideas and understandings of songwriting and music. So these are things that I bring into my role as a co-writer and a producer, my ability to work with people and to help early artists early in their career to develop their skills and their knowledge so that they have a long and fruitful career. I'm reading through some of my own notes because it's a big document I don't remember off the top of my head. So let's have a look. So we talked a bit about that. Things like accounting. If you don't have a system in place to look after your accounting at the beginning and you're going to try and backtrack it, it's going to get messy and you're probably going to lose some money. There are plenty of good systems out there. You can make your own using an Excel document. And if you're starting up small, that's what I do. That's what I've done. Just set up your own Excel document. Just keep a track of money going in and going out. You might not think it at first, but you might start out buying some bits of equipment that within that year you might realise, ooh, I'm actually earning a bit. I should register for VAT, in which case you could get the money back on a lot of things. Might not necessarily happen, but plan for it. Don't let it become something that you lose out on. What training do you need? It might be that you want to be trained up on certain. Let's take two examples of songwriter and running a studio. So as a songwriter, you might say, okay, I've got some good songs, but they're not quite crafted, they're not honed enough yet. So you might want to find a songwriting mentor, someone who can help you develop a real craftsmanship for winning over an audience in your songs. That's some training you need. Not necessarily stuff you might pay for. It might just be, I'm going to collaborate with a bunch of other artists to help me train up my songwriting. Work with people who are better than you. Always the way to learn. If you're running a studio, it might be worthwhile for you to get Pro Tools certified or Logic certified. Obviously, Pro Tools certification is very expensive, so if that's your choice of software, it's expensive, but it does, help draw in a few other customers. By the way, I'd do some research on that. Try and find a few people who are Pro Tools certified and ask them, how much it helps influence their business. It's a lot of money to invest. You want to know that it's the right thing. Is it something that draws in the right client? If it doesn't, maybe you don't need to worry about it. But, justify it here. So the business opportunity. So with this document, write it, I should have said this earlier, write it in a way, make sure that it's for someone who doesn't know you. It's someone who doesn't know you and probably doesn't know much about the business. Don't take too much for granted. You could write it for me, but chances are I'll understand a lot of your terminology and about the industry and the revenues and stuff. It's better in a way to kind of maybe write it for your mum or your gran, and win them over. Kind of make them believe, make them understand what it is that you are doing, and that there is a genuine revenue opportunity here. If they're convinced, you've got a solid plan. If they're still a bit, I'm not sure who's paying you for this, why would they pay you for that, then make sure it's clear to them. If it's clear to them, it's definitely clear to you, and you're more likely to be successful in this venture. So, what are the products or services you're providing? I should hope that's fairly clear. This is a major sort of driver for all of us. You know, I'm writing songs, I'm producing tracks, I'm writing for artists, I'm mixing for artists, I'm making bespoke music for movie trailers. You know, nail it down. I would also nail this down in terms of genre if you can. Really kind of nail what sort of music is you do. You might be good at several. You know, a lot of us can dabble around. You know, I've done folk and urban and pop, but you know, I don't consider myself to be a folk music producer. I'm sure I could produce a folk album, but it's not my area. And I think having that niche will help, you know, structure what you do and how you present that and how you market it. Where will you locate your business, including online? You know, if you're an online business, state that. State the platforms that you're going to be using for this, but also physically. You know, are you going to be working from home? Do you have a studio? If you're working with your band, do you have studio kind of space that you use for rehearsals and such? Could that be used as a kind of a location? Depends what your setup is. And obviously, if you are a studio, where's your studio set up? I can't remember if I talked much about this. If you're talking about a studio and you're bringing in the public, you want to be considering health and safety. Oh, there it is, health and safety, also public liability. What are the risks involved? Are you insured? Blah, blah, blah. If you're in Britain, I can't guarantee for other countries, but the MU in Britain gives you a public liability insurance for quite a bit. Personally, I'd still get insurance involved to make sure no one sues you because they trip on a cable. So yeah, several unique questions for studios. Yeah, if you're changing the use of a building, do you need to report this to the local authority? You know, especially if you're doing changes to the planning, if you're knocking down walls and stuff, make sure it's all done, you know, legitimately. You don't want to have them come in and shut you down, you know, 1 month into trading. Yeah, if you're the owner, if you're renting, make sure you have all the right permissions. Necessary equipment. Do you have all the equipment you need to start right now? If not, what do you need? And then later on, you're going to have to factor in how much that's going to cost you so that you are ready to go. Personally, and I think a lot of other people would recommend this, lean startup. You know, you don't need a Neve desk to set up a studio. Right? You don't even need a desk. If you're working in the box, you can start your studio in the box. You know, no one's going to begrudge you if the end product sounds as good as any other. So the market. So I mentioned earlier about, you know, what genre you're going to be aiming at, and how, you know, I myself aim for a pop market, even though I can do a bit of folk and I have done urban and such. So what's your market? Who's your clientele? How old are they? Are they male or female? It might not be that. Are they bands? Are they solo artists? And how are you kind of addressing them? You know, what are their sort of unique factors about them? So if they are a band, you know, what are the issues that bands face today that you can help them with? I don't want to go into this too much, but if you want to speak to me about this more, you can drop me a message and talk about your individual sort of situation. But, you know, the one that probably gets a lot of people on this, it's the wording it's a bit thrown. So if you're a songwriter and we're trying to talk about what need does your product fulfill, what's the issue or problem that your service resolves, it sounds more of a business mentality, not so much of a songwriter thing where we start to think of ourselves as artists. But we as music consumers consume music to fulfill something. You know, I would buy a 07 CD or Air CD as a sort of a chill out, relax album. A lot of people would have it as the post-club sort of music when you're back home and unwinding. So there's where your music fits in that person's life. That's the function it's fulfilling for them. If your music is maybe pre-club, maybe your music now, you know, think of it like Damien Rice his first album was probably one of, and Adele as well actually, albums to break up to, you know, or albums to fall in love to, music that, you know, is the soundtrack to someone's youth, someone's first love. This is what music does for a lot of us, and this is, you know, a bit market and a bit business sounding, but let's think of it in our artistic sort of mind as well. I write songs that, you know, fulfill this need in people. I write songs to soundtrack, you know, your first love. I write soundtracks to, you know, club go out dancing to. I write soundtracks, or I write music to accompany short films or nature programs. That's a good one. Very specific, you know, and I bet a lot of people are into that after Hans Zimmer and his Blue Planet. Is it Blue Planet? I don't remember which one it was now. The David Attenborough program. So what is it your product or service does? Who's it for? And why do they want it? I'm going to do one more and then I'm going to stop this video and we'll do another video to follow on. So, marketing, sales and promotion. How will you stand out? What is your brand? How is your brand used? Okay, so hopefully you know a bit about what the market is you're going into, who you're going to be going up against, who you're going to be compared to, and how are you going to stand out from them? Hopefully you have an idea of what service you'll offer that is different, or how your songs are different from those other artists in a similar vein, because you'll be competing for the same audience. And part of that will then be to brand yourself. How will you, how will your imagery and your text that surrounds it, how would you voice yourself as the artist in this that stands out from those others? And then how will this be used? So then this is talking, so social media, face-to-face, local reputation. How are you marketing it? What platforms are you using? So it's very easy to talk on terms of, in fact, all of these, I think, but so your local reputation. If you're setting up a studio, you need to have a good local reputation because you're drawing in local business. Unless you're setting up a really big, fancy kind of competitors at Ayr and Abbey Road, in which case, you know, you need to be drawing international business. I'd love it if someone's doing that. But you know, you need that local reputation. So how are you going to get that local reputation? How are you going to establish yourself in terms of a brand that people recognise you as the authority on, you know, local, on recording a particular genre of music? So you might be like the guy who produces and mixes hip-hop tracks in your local city. So your branding needs to represent you as hip-hop, but also local. How do you put that out there? How are you going to put your brand out? You're going to go to local events. Hopefully you might sponsor a local night or run a local night to get hip-hop community in under your name and communicating and interacting with you one-to-one. Really, it's very similar with online. You know, you set up a Facebook page, you invite people in, and you get them to be part of, you know, the movement you're creating. Talk to us about, or talk to your potential kind of reader here about that. Plan it out. What avenues are you going to go by, and how are you going to draw them in? How are you going to communicate, and what is it you're going to communicate to them? So I'm going to stop there, and I'm going to do another section of this. If you haven't got the business plan, sign up below. Usual deal, yeah. Pop in your email address. It'll be a double opt-in to make sure I've not got robots, and you'll get a copy of this sent to you. And you know, I'm happy to talk to you about it and help you kind of plan out a career in music. If you still find, you know, you're reading through this and there's still more bits you don't know, there'll be a part 2, possibly a part 3, judging by how big this document is, on how to fill this out. You can watch them again, hopefully help you. If not, drop me a message. I'm more than happy to help. Bye.